don't believe your senses any longer. But what's happening is, I think, way deeper, because you use the term identity, and for many people, identity is basically your personal details as written in your driver's license, ID card, passport, or whatever. And for at least 2 decades, it's not. You actually have multiple personalities out there, because identity is what determines that you are you. Michael is Michael. It means that basically your face picture is your identity just as well, even if I don't know any fact about you. Now, you are using your phone in order to even identify yourself. That means that your phone knows it's you, okay? Now, take it further into IoT, into other things. You understand that the whole idea, the whole concept of identity is not as we know it. And that is why the idea of identity verification also changes, and fraud with it.
So, identity is changing. Well, identity is kind of saying the same, because we have identities, but we're now we have evolving digital identities. The world is becoming highly digitized. I call it the perfect storm is ensuing, where on one hand, everything is becoming digitized. On the other hand, you have the emergence of more sophisticated workflows which require the automation of identity verification, but you have new sophisticated tools like the creation of deepfakes in audio and video, which are now compromising the integrity of the way in which we first perceived this concept of identity verification. In your eyes, how is the advent of AI-generated content, deepfakes, and these types of attacks, how is it reevaluating and changing the way that we're thinking through identity verification and digital identities? What really is the change or the evolution that we're experiencing here?
Look, in one word, don't believe your senses any longer. But what's happening is, I think, way deeper, because you use the term identity, and for many people, identity is basically your personal details as written in your driver's license, ID card, passport, or whatever. And for at least 2 decades, it's not. You actually have multiple personalities out there, because identity is what determines that you are you. Michael is Michael. It means that basically your face picture is your identity just as well, even if I don't know any fact about you. Now, you are using your phone in order to even identify yourself. That means that your phone knows it's you, okay? Now, take it further into IoT, into other things. You understand that the whole idea, the whole concept of identity is not as we know it. And that is why the idea of identity verification also changes, and fraud with it. Now, you asked specifically about deepfake or generative AI. What generative AI is actually doing, it's undermining the one element that still remained in identity verification, which is humans saying it's you. Because even now, if I now wanted you want to open an account, you'll be asked to submit a picture of your ID, whatever ID facility you want, and a picture of your face. Now, the data on your ID document, driver's license, whatever it will be, is useless, because the statistics is simply saying that. You know that on this planet, there's something like 8.4 billion people. In Darknet, it's estimated there are about 10 billion identity credentials compromised on sale. So if I now want to identify you based on your name or whatever details, It's as if they are written all over the place in a billboard. It's useless to know it's you. That's why what basically generative AI or deepfake, as now it's called, is doing, it's aggravating the situation because until now you know that probably your ID credentials are out there in your profiles on darknet, whatever you want. So one says, good, but my look, my face, my fingerprint, my biometrics is then the one certain thing that I can use. But if I can be you so easily, and you'll be amazed, by the way, about the things we see, then even your biometrics is not safe anymore. You have an identity problem.
So what it sounds to me is that you're saying, okay, we've gotten to a point where we know that the idea of our identity as documents, as you know, these biometric entities, those have been compromised, and you know, it's crazy to think 10 billion of these in the darknet, and now you're saying effectively, given the fact that we can now take an image of a person or a tiny sample of their voice and recreate their look and voice and face, now we're compromising the other half of the spectrum, which was potentially used to help mitigate some of the perception. And I wanted to take it now to a more business setting. So attackers now have a plethora of tools to do this, to compromise both the biometric documentation as well as the actual biometrics of the person, either in a real-time setting or also in an offline setting, like taking a selfie or a video. Where within organizations is this impacting? What are the main flows that you're seeing across enterprises or organizations where this is now becoming a top of mind problem, or has been a top of mind problem for business workflows?
I don't know if it will make you feel better, but organizations normally outside the university, in real life, don't actually take action to be equipped with the best possible defenses. They do that because they need to comply. And they need to comply because there is a whip or a stick if they don't. And the whole idea of fraud defense is something that costing you money. So it is not the case in real life that if companies knew that we have a second line of defense that is capable of detecting professional organized crime level fraud, they would do that necessarily. It will cost them. And right now, the market in the world, by the way, basically, I just checked it, is in a recessionary mood. You want to save, not to spend. So I can say that regulations are the identity verifier's best friend on that level. So there is awareness, obviously. We are being asked about it, obviously. But what happens is that eventually, if you're looking at the evolution from this point on, probably identity verification will coincide or meet cyber as you know it. Okay? Because it will have now to verify the device you're holding. It will have to verify everything on an ongoing basis. You will not have to take a picture of your ID again. Okay, it will all be on your mobile. So it's kind of, it's basically Big Brother, but you will want it. And it will happen not because companies want to defend you, but because they are forced to do that. So at the same token that your your ISP, your internet service provider, has antivirus or cybersecurity elements in their service, the same way these will be implemented in organizations that give you financial services, government services, or whatever services. So once again, it's a situation whereby I'm seeing lots of articles about 10 tips how to protect yourself against identity theft. That's as ridiculous as 10 hints on how to prevent a cyber attack by a whatever organized crime on yourself. Theoretically, yes, but you do not, if identifying you is an ongoing thing, you expect me to be alert, almost in a kind of life-threatening way. It doesn't work. So basically, identity verification becomes as grave, as professional, and as requiring assets that normally people do not have in order to really be effective at it. So the answer about the organizations is that they will do it once they are forced to do it. We need regulators to do that. And usually, regulators are very aware. I'm meeting them on an ongoing basis, but they usually take action way later than the threat actually arrived. And the definition of what exactly you are required to do are usually very general.
Now, it seems to me that the context of identity as a cybersecurity threat has a flow where it threatens the integrity of know your customer onboarding, in call centers, perhaps for account takeovers, in areas where you are performing an active identity verification process, as we've known to happen. And we've seen, I think, through COVID and since then, this expectation that a lot of these processes will become automated and it will empower users to very quickly interact with their services, even if they're sensitive, through biometrics and through identity. I'm also seeing another thread where identity compromise has become a really big issue in the context of phishing and social engineering. So looking at even a bigger piece of the puzzle for organizations, where if now we can no longer believe our senses, yet you and I are corresponding now on a video call and I'm assuming that you are you, then all of a sudden this idea that we as humans and employees are performing this continuous identity verification, even if we didn't know to call it that, but that's effectively what we've been doing, just using our eyes and ears. Now that has also been compromised. How are you seeing these two threats? Do they fall into the same category? Are they different threat classifications? What are you seeing? How are you seeing businesses engaging with these two as separately or together?
Can you rephrase? I did not understand the
Absolutely.
question.
Absolutely. So it seems that one thread is there's identity verification processes where I'm asking for documents and I'm asking for, to take a selfie to prove that you are you. And those are inherent workflows that are built into the ways that are to the products.
Yeah.
But it seems to me that today identity compromise is also used more generally for phishing and social engineering on a broader range of employees, like IT help desks, like those that have access to financial accounts, where they may go on a video call with a deepfake. How is this a threat that's here? Is it coming? Are organizations aware of it?
Well, if you follow the news, you will learn that already a couple of large-scale organizations, usually banks, have already transferred money to people who are not the CEO. And actually, you touched an interesting point, because we talked about the fact that your identity facility is becoming your SSI, your self-sovereign identity on your phone. That means that cracking that phone or getting that credential, and it's encrypted, is not that easy. You actually need a quantum computer in order to do that. And that's why we already see, and that's touching exactly what you said, fraudsters, especially professional fraudsters, starting to veer off account opening into simply calling those help desks and calling those service back offices, impersonating you, and basically, instead of opening the account, getting the transfer made. So they're actually resulting, because of that transfer into digital, into impersonating you live in front of those who are already providing you the service. And that's a good step from obviously their point of view, because once it's digital, you have to work hard, if succeed at all, in compromising that credential, but you don't have to. One thing that we learned is that fraudsters are highly effective people. We are seeing them responding very quickly and addressing exactly two types of targets. First target, where it's the easiest. And right now, once you have a digital ID, the easiest is not your digital ID, is you calling your bank or you calling your whatever. And the second one would obviously be where it's the most lucrative. And lucrative usually would be the surging markets. Like, I hope you invested in crypto, because right now it's $98,000. So once it's peaking, you see a lot of professionals going there, because obviously every Bitcoin you compromise is a lot of money. But the idea is that what Deepfake is doing is it came in the right time, so to speak, in order to enable fraudsters to avoid the hard work of trying to get into your phone and steal your credentials or copy it or whatever, and simply call your bank and say, listen, I need a transfer. And it looks like you and it talks like you. And the tools have, I think in recent months, I've seen tools I've never seen before. Not to mention, the evolution of those tools is in fast forward. Fraud as a service. Many still think, I mean, at the onset, I've seen professional forces using a whole range of tools to perfect the movements, the voice, the injection, etc. Now, I cannot show it to you in order not to give people the wrong ideas. You simply you have a menu and you choose which organization you want to attack or to compromise, be it a bank, be it a crypto. The system already knows what their process is, what will be required of you. Active face liveness, passive face liveness, what would exactly happen there. Now you need to just choose which document you want, ID, driving license, whatever, of whatever country you want, what personal details you want there, and what face is going to be there. From that point on, you click the button and the machine will dial in, start the process, present on screen or inject on screen exactly what it needs to meet the requirements of that website. And it's not that expensive.
All right, so the problem is in front of us. It almost feels like this perfect storm that I was alluding to before. You're seeing it in action, and I can see it in the way that you're speaking. What's next for us? So from the context of security now, and as Authentics, you're one of the leading providers in the world for this type of problem space. What are the most important solutions to be built or being built that would suffice to counter this? And how do you see this space evolving over time, very tangibly, as solutions? Because it also seems like we need to put these solutions in the market now. This is not a 5-year problem. This is a here plus 6-month problem.
Yes. I would say that even the detection of, let's say, the more advanced types of fraud, the generative AI fraud, is actually in somewhere in its childhood. Okay, when I'm looking at all those engines, there are at least 8 to 10 engines that are known out there in the market. And when you look at the way they work, you understand that they are in different levels of what I call maturity, because the basic notion was, okay, we have AI. The fake was produced using AI. So let's put on one side of the ring our AI, on the other side their AI. We'll teach ours with zillions of examples of what that fraud looks like, and we're good. Now, that's the basic machine learning type of solution, which turned out very quickly to be not working, because there is a number of engines out there. Each one of them probably behaves a little bit different than the other, and they keep themselves being changed. I remember that we used to catch fraudsters who used the same imagery and change on it, or the same picture of an ID on, I don't know, on the sofa, and change on it the face and the personal details. Once they understood we catch it, we started seeing the same pictures, but someone put some randomizer in it, so that the picture is coming from different angles, in different lightings, and in different zoom in, zoom out, in order to basically create a situation whereby you're looking for repetition, you won't find it, but it's a machine doing it. So what I'm saying, the initial thought that was, let's learn what deepfake is so that we can now see another one and know it's a deepfake, doesn't work anymore. So the more advanced systems that we've seen were those that I think are mimicking basically the later evolution of cyber, which is you cannot study, so to speak, every virus and create an endless library of viruses and what they look like and all that jazz. And as you know, detection has now veered off into anomalies. Okay, it's a much more efficient way. So I'm already starting to see some vendors in the market that are already thinking that way, in terms of we cannot chase an ability to endlessly produce ever more diversifying templates and engines, etc. It has to be another way. So right now what I'm saying is that we are just, I don't know if even the adolescence of deepfake detection, it's the early stages of it, because it itself is changing. And by the way, we are kind of missing the cousin of deepfake, which is injection. Okay, injection is much a bigger deal than people think, because once it's there, your device thinks it sees things it doesn't see, and it becomes a big deal. So the battlefield on that level has changed into basically cyber thinking wise type of the search for anomalies. And one more thing that's missing in many companies is missing, and that's a big deal, and it's going to be mandated, and that is explainability. Okay, because right now fakes can be so good. I mean, I'm sometimes showing a deepfake picture and a real picture, and people mistake them. They mix them up. Okay, the deepfake looks better and more real. Okay, so what I'm saying is that the detection is basically in the middle of its evolution. It's right now it's in somewhere in infancy, and will require multiple points of detection and defense in order to make it, and it won't stop there.
And it sounds like you're speaking not, I mean, there's many theorists that are looking at this technological problem space, but it sounds like you're talking from a very practical nature of you're in it, you're actively experiencing the vendors, you're talking to the customers, so you're really at the, and I think that's what's important also, I think in the context for this conversation, you are living a solution provider, a leading solution provider. You're experiencing the threats and the needs from the customers. You're evaluating the market space, and you yourself have come to this realization that one, detection is its infancy, and that it's not useless. You just need to rethink about the way that you're performing it. It's probably not the traditional machine learning approach of what initially was the AI versus AI type of approach, right? Generating zillions of data sets and trying to constantly play cat and mouse game. I do believe there's probably some room for an antivirus approach, but that approach endlessly will be one step behind and not one step ahead, and will not allow for the 0-day attacks to be caught, which is coincidentally the name for this series, the human 0-day.
Well, it is, by the way, and in these times especially, because I don't recall a technology that has evolved so fast as this is happening now. And by the way, any technology you can think about that has some applications in porn will grow exponentially and very fast. And once it touches politics, as it already did, I mean, that's the perfect storm. Okay, so you have now two problems if I connect this to the last point. One, you have to shoot a moving target, and B, even if you caught it, there's nothing to see. I mean, I talked about explainability, which is, by the way, a regulatory mandated requirement that is not properly made, not properly accomplished. I mean, if I show you something and I tell you this is fake, your eyes say it's real. So how come? Does the machine make a mistake? Is it right? So there is here something that, once again, I'm pushing on in our company is to decipher. I think I have already an idea about it. To decipher what counts as reliable explainability. Because now explainability is usually sending you back the same picture, and on it there is like a heat map or an areas painted in some red or green or whatever you want, saying, okay, that's suspicious. And once I'm saying, okay, please remove that, I want to look at the same pixels myself, they still look normal. So how did you decide good or not? So we are now talking about, I don't know, a third or whatever branch of this machine that says, if you cannot count on your senses, what would give you the certainty or comfort or trust that this is a correct detection?
Absolutely. Ofer, I think we've just scratched the tip of the iceberg, but I'm taking away from this conversation a couple things. One, this is a here and now problem. The perfect storm is upon us. The identity verification space and digital identity space has been a moving target for a while. I remember when liveness became an issue a few years ago, and we feel like it's already history, but this was just a couple of years ago. And now we're faced with the injection attacks and the deepfakes and the moving target, and now all of a sudden it's explainability is a part of it. Fascinating time to be around. I'm sure it's fascinating in your seat, being a leader in a company that's at the forefront of this. Ofer, thank you very much for being here. I really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you for the interesting conversation.
Thank you.